Welcome to the Emporium Outdoors. My name is Michael, and today we're going to talk about knives. So there are so many knife options out there, it's very confusing which one you should buy. And over the last, I guess 10-15 years, I've been really involved in the outdoors. I've gone through different evolutions of which knife is my favorite. These are some of the knives that I have. These are the ones I tend to take out with me camping. I camp primarily in forest environments in Canada, and these are the knives that I've kind of selected over time, and I've tried each one. And I want to give you my feedback on what I think about each one of these knives. So in no particular order, I'll kind of go through each of these knives that I've selected and why I probably purchased it. So this is the Fällkniven S1. This is probably the most expensive knife in this bunch. This is a convex grind knife, and I think the blade is 6 inches long, and I'll put all the stats on the screen for each of the knives. So I bought this knife probably about 15 years ago before I moved to Canada, and I thought this would be a really good all-round knife. So I have two sheaths for this knife. This is the Zyzel sheath, and it also comes with a dangler that I bought, which I'm using for another knife. So this is the sheath that goes with the S1, but it actually fits us pretty well. So this is the Enzo Trapper in N690 steel, and I made the scales myself, and it fits into this leather dangler. This is a Scandi grind knife. It's very nice to use. This is a convex grind, if I didn't mention that already. And this is a very good knife. I like it very much. It just feels good. I like the way it kind of feels in my hand, and it's a very practical knife. So that's that one. So this is a Mora Companion HD. It has a rubberized grip. The other two knives are full tang, as you can see from the part of the handle. This is a partial tang, and it has a plastic sheath. This is the cheapest knife that I own, and this is a Scandi grind as well. So move on from that. This is a sheath I made myself. This is the Benchmade Puko 200. Has a nice rubberized grip, again Scandi grind. So this knife has a very nice steel. I'll put it up there. I think it's CPM 3 or something like that. It's a very hard steel. It's one of the super steels, and very nice knife. This is another Mora knife. This is a more expensive one. Now again, I'll put the stats up. This is the stainless steel knife with a full tang. This is probably about 4 to 5 times this price, and this is a pretty good knife. So just in summary, this is a convex grind. These are all Scandinavian grind, so you can see where my leaning is towards knives, I guess. So which is the best knife of all 5? Which one would I grab and go with? That's a very difficult question. If I was in a situation where I didn't know where I was going to and the conditions, etc., it would be this knife. This is the toughest knife of all of them because of the grind, the steel, and the way it's constructed. I trust this knife not to break on me, and it will do a job. If I was going to use a knife for woodworking, etc., I would pick one of these 4, because they're actually much better at woodworking than this one. This is more kind of a survival type knife. You know, you're going to use it and abuse it. These ones are more delicate because of the Scandinavian grind. So these are what I tend to use more often than not. When it comes to comfort, of all these knives, this is the most comfortable knife because of this grippy handle. So I tend to levitate towards this knife. This knife is not as comfortable, but it is stainless. This is a carbon steel knife, so it tends to rust. These other two knives don't rust, so this is the only carbon steel knife. So this is a kind of a more tolerant knife. So if you just want a knife that you can just use for woodworking tasks and you don't want to take care of it that much, I'd probably go for this one. The Puukko is a very nice knife. It's more of a hunting knife, I would say, because it does give you a much better grip for choking up. So if you want to do skinning tasks, etc., this would be a really good knife because it just feels very controllable. You can really get in there and control this knife very well. The Enzo, I just like it because I bought the blank and I made it, and it's all mine. It has the bolts on this side, and I made the scales out of oak that I had in my garage. It's a good knife. I like it. It's not my favorite, it's not the best performer, but it's one I made, so that's why I love it. What I use more often than all of these knives combined is this, which is a small camper Swiss Army knife. That's what I use most of the time, and I use this for cutting food, preparing things, maybe a little bit of woodworking, but most of the work that I do is done with an axe or primarily a saw. A saw is probably more important. If I had to choose between all of these and an axe, I would pick a saw. A saw can do so much more than most of these things combined. So if you're in a quandary about which knife to buy, or you're going to buy your first knife, the knife I would buy is this one. This is $20, and this knife will do two things for you. It'll be a very good knife, one you'll return back to time and time again, I'm sure, but it'll also teach you which one of these other knives is better, or any other knife. With this, you'll find out exactly what you like about a knife, what you don't like, and what you want better. And that's the most important thing. For $20, this knife is awesome. There's nothing that all these knives can't do that this knife can do. Some of them do it slightly better, some of them do it actually kind of worse. So I think in summary, what I would say is start out with a cheaper knife if you don't have one. If you have one of these already, then consider if you want to move up to a different knife. If you want a survival knife, obviously go with a convex type knife because it is much, much stronger. If you want to do lots of woodworking tasks, then go with a Scandinavian type of grind. And then your choice of different materials is up to you. The harder the steel, the harder it is to look after in the field. This is super simple to sharpen in the field. It takes me a couple of strokes on my DC4 to sharpen this up. This thing is almost impossible to sharpen in the field. I have to take it home to sharpen it, but it doesn't dull as quickly. This one's not too bad, and this one's okay as well. So maintenance is a big thing. This one rusts, these four don't. So if you're in a marine environment or you're by the coast at all, then I would maybe stay away from this one. But I would always carry a Swiss Army knife of some type because these are some of the best knives around because they're always in your pocket. This one I have with a fire steel and some tinder in the corkscrew, and it's a great knife. A couple of knives, screwdrivers, usual stuff. So I hope my review of my small knife collection has given you some insight. I think the rule of thumb is have some knife with you. Don't get too hung up about which one it is, but always carry a saw. And until next time, take care. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.